Hey, this is Mike Strasinger with SportsNashville.net with this week's edition of This Week in High School Sports, Nashville High School Sports. I'm joined here today with Maurice Patton from the Columbia Daily Herald. So glad Maurice is here. We're going to go over getting to the playoffs here. The high school football players are starting up. And we're here live at Hillsborough High School. They're practicing behind us. Hopefully we don't get hit by football or something. But they're getting ready for their first round playoff game against Shelbyville tomorrow night. Quickly, I'm going to go through just congratulate last week's winners in the soccer, TWSAA soccer tournament. In single A, Alcoa won. White House won their first ever state championship in the soccer AA. Houston won AAA, St. George's in Division II single A, and Baylor won the state championship in Division II AA. And then remember, Saturday is the cross-country state championships over here at Steeplechase at the Percy Warner Park Steeplechase course. It's a long day. Come out and support your athletes. They'd appreciate it. All right, we're going to go through the brackets here, and I've brought in Maurice. Maurice works, like I said, at the Columbia Daily Herald, so Maurice is familiar with some teams that I'm not familiar with. So we're just going to go through the brackets here and see if anything jumps out at us or something. And we'll just start right off with 1A. And Maurice, I got to tell you, I don't know a thing about 1A schools. I don't know if you do. Or not, but any thoughts on the 1A bracket?
Well, you know, Mike, I've got a few 1A schools in my coverage area. Mount Pleasant, which did not make the playoffs despite going 7-3 in the regular season. All three of their losses were in region play in Region 5 1A, which you got Cornersville as the Region 5 1A champion. Moore County finished second. Mount Pleasant beat them 41-32 this past weekend. Wow. Franklin Grace Christian out of Franklin, coached by former Tennessee Titans quarterback Rusty Smith, is the number 3 seed out of that region. Grace beat Mount Pleasant 48-46 2 weeks ago, and so that was kind of, with Grace beating Fayetteville last week, that kind of knocked Mount Pleasant out. But you know, it's one of those things. You got to take care of your business when you have the opportunity to take care of it.
Got to win your region.
Again, 48-46, Mount Pleasant came up short on two two-point conversions and missed an extra point. That's 5 points and a 2-point loss. So there you go. But you know, heck of a year for them. They went 1-9 last year.
That's quite impressive.
Fayetteville is the number 4 team out of that region, and again, Mount Pleasant lost to them as well. So 3 of the 4 teams in the region that they lost to are going on. It's just a tough region. But you know, this Cornersville team is playing really well right now. 9-1 overall. They've got Hollow Rock Brewston coming in the first round. Grace goes over to Wayne County, a perennial 1A power. Should be an interesting ball game. Moore County should take care of business. Fayetteville's got to go to undefeated Huntington.
Wow. So
maybe a little bit of a tough path for Fayetteville.
I got to tell you, the only team I'm really kind of familiar with is South Pittsburgh up there in the top, Region 3, the number 1 seed out of Region 3, and they seems like they're always there. And but Cornersville, like you said, I think so. Maybe we can get a Cornersville South Pittsburgh matchup. That'd be great.
That'd be interesting. I tell you, all 3 schools out of Marshall County, Cornersville, Forest, and Marshall County all made the playoffs. I don't think that's happened a whole lot down there.
That's some good ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good. Well, let's move over to 2A and get some thoughts here. And again, I'm not familiar with a lot of these teams. Now, the first one I see right off my page is Columbia Academy. And maybe you have some thoughts on Columbia.
Columbia Academy 9-1. Their only loss was to 4A Spring Hill back in week 2. Among their wins, they beat Lipscomb Academy 17-7 earlier in the year. Really playing well. This is their first year in 2A. They had been in 1A, so they moved up this year. And I think they feel a little bit better about themselves because they're away from South Pittsburgh.
Right.
So I think they may have a chance to do some damage here. They start against Hickman County tomorrow night. They would catch Lewis County out of their region in the quarterfinals, I think, or Lewis County Waverly, which Waverly is an interesting team. They're 8-1, but they throw it around all over the place. I talked to their coach, Matt McConnell, a couple of years ago. They call it basketball on grass.
Wow.
I like to throw it around.
Well, that sounds fun.
Gavin Stanfield, the quarterback, he's about 5'9", 5'10", but he swings it a lot.
Do you know anything about Meigs County up here, the Region 2 number 1 seed?
They're number 1 in the state.
Well, that's pretty respectable.
Yeah, that's about it.
And then I see Trousdale County is in here again, as usual. And but they're on opposite sides of Columbia, so maybe we can get Columbia, Trousdale County, get some Middle Tennessee action going.
Trousdale County's got a first-year coach over there, Brad Wagner, who was at Georgia Tech last year.
Okay.
So should be interesting. They, like you said, they're always around, whether it's Clint Satterfield or Kevin Creasy or this guy Brad Wagner. They're always in the mix there.
All right, let's go over to 3A. Now we're getting into a little more familiar territory with me. I'm just going to start off right here. Pearl Cone is the Region 5 champion in the Region 5 number 1 seed. They're 8-2, and I guess their 2 losses. One was to MBA, and one was to I can't remember who else they lost to, but I'm sure it was a tough team. Pearl's been really doing well this year. And the thing I just want to say real quick about Pearl, I've been watching Pearl Cone play for a lot of years now, and this team makes mistakes and turns the ball over like any other team, but they have so many playmakers they're able to play through their mistakes, and I think they're going to go really deep. Now, along the way, they might catch Fairview, who's the number 1 seed out of the Region 6, but I'm looking way down the road. And Raleigh, Egypt, at the bottom of the page here, Region A, I guess that's out of Memphis. They're 10-0, and I looked them up on Max Preps, and they've only given up in their 5 or 6 region games. They've only given up like 30 points or something. They have a crazy defense, so I'm hoping for that matchup. But of course, I'm really hoping that Pearl goes all the way, most likely against Alcoa.
Most likely, with them moving down to 3A from 4A. And like you said, their schedule. Tony Brunetti does a great job of getting his guys ready for this time of year. I can't remember who that other loss was to either, but it seems like it was like a 5A or a 6A
It was like
team.
Cookville.
It was Cookville.
Yeah. And no shame in that.
None. Cookville's had a heck of a year.
And if I remember right, that was coming right off the big CPA win, so maybe kind of an emotional loss.
But like you said, he gets them ready for this time of year, and the playmakers, Jay Parker, who's been there forever, it feels like. The quarterback, Xavier Shepard, I really like that kid, and it would be nice to see them get back to Cookville. A Pearl Cone Alcoa matchup would be a lot of fun.
And we have been talking about this. We expect to see this year after year, hopefully. Now, another side note, I just want to say I like this format of the top 4 regions. You can't please everybody. It's tough. There's so many schools, so I really do like this format. The top 4 teams from the region and that's that.
And you know what you have to do to get there, and it doesn't go to a lot of formulas and this and that, and it's tough. Again, I talked about the Mount Pleasant team that went 7-3 and didn't make it. And when you look down through the bracket and you see 3 and 7s and 4 and 6s in there, and you're 7-3 and you didn't get there, that's tough. But if you were in a 7-team region and you finish 5th,
that's that.
It's tough.
That's right.
But it is what it is, and life ain't fair.
That's right. That's very true. All right, let's go over to 4A. Now, really, it's kind of a middle region for the national teams. There's a couple teams from the national area in here, but not many. It's kind of a tweener. This is Marshall County is in there, and Maplewood is in there. And I was kind of looking at this earlier. I'm really hoping to see those 2 teams play again. I was at the game earlier in the regular season, and it could have gone either way.
What was it, 28-20 Marshall County?
Yeah, I can't remember the score, but it kind of slipped away. It was like there was one play it seemed like it hinged on, and it went Marshall County's way, and that was that.
I can see that because I've not seen Marshall County this year. I did see Maplewood against Spring Hill, and I can see where Maplewood could give Marshall County some problems, but I could also see where Marshall County can maybe pop one with their running back Cameron Liggett, or get over the top one time with Bryce Wallace at quarterback, and that be a difference maker. But like you said, Maplewood's got some playmakers as well.
Absolutely. And now the top seed here out of the East is Greenville, 10-0. I guess they've just been rolling. I'm not. They're there. They are there all the time.
All the time.
So they're very good.
The coach's son is their quarterback.
Okay.
And so everything that goes along with that.
And then shout out White House, now the number 1 seed out of Region 5. Now, weren't they 0-10 last year?
They were 0-10 last year. They're 10-0 this year. I've never heard of that.
That's was that BDP, right?
There you go.
Okay. And then the bottom, the number 1 seed out of the Region 8 is Memphis East, and they're coming with a record of 5-5. And that's just I guess obviously they won their region. It either must be a very tough region or a very easy region.
I think I'm not sure about the region, but I think going back to what we were saying about Brunetti over at Pearl-Cohn, I think Memphis East schedule really tough because they came up here and lost to Independence about 3 weeks ago. Right. So they've played some tough folks. But again, you know, and now that it's the top 4 out of the region that go, it allows coaches to go out and schedule tougher to get themselves ready for this moment.
And I was looking at the tiebreaker system because, you know, the Rutherford County teams got deep into the tiebreaker, and the strength of schedule plays into it. So playing these tough teams, you might lose, but just playing them is a feather in your cap.
Absolutely. But, you know, you're going to see some teams with some really sparkling records, some 9-1s, maybe a 10-0. I saw a 10-0 last year lose to the number 4 seed out of another region. You're going to see some guys with some really shiny records go home tomorrow night and put their stuff away Saturday morning. You need to get out and test yourself and find out how good you are.
That's right. Good. All right, going over to 5A. Now we're talking my area a little more here. Now, going through the East teams, Daniel Boone is number 1 seed in their region, Knoxville Halls, Oak Ridge, and Knoxville Catholic. Now, I've certainly heard of those schools, and I would say it's wide open between all of those who comes through. On our side of things, we got Summit and Beach, Henry County. Of course, we have Hillwood, we have Hillsborough, we have Shelbyville, we have Columbia. And just real quick, since we're here at Hillsborough, I'm going to talk about that real quick. They open up with Shelbyville tomorrow night, and I fully expect Hillsborough to win tomorrow night at Shelbyville. And then I'm looking forward, we'll talk about Columbia and Beach here in a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm going to pick Beach to win. I'm going to give you a little hint on that to the preview of what's coming up. But for just personally, but I'm hoping that Hillsborough and Beach get to play again because the way I understand the first game went, Hillsborough outplayed them, but Beach outscored them. So maybe there'll be a little rematch there, and we'll see what happens when that all shakes out. But this, to me, it looks like it's wide open.
I think it's pretty wide open, like you said. Again, Beach comes in, they're 10-0. I think they are the only undefeated team in this half of the bracket as I look at it. But you know, I've seen Columbia about 3-4 times this year, and it just depends on which team shows up. Now, obviously, again, that game is Thursday night, so they're getting a jump on everybody. They were expecting some weather on Friday, so they decided to try to get out ahead of some folks. But Beach is going to pound that rock. And if Columbia can get over the top, make a couple of plays early, get out in front early, put Beach in chase mode, all of a sudden you may see something you don't expect.
Okay.
So, but
well, for your sake, I hope you're right. For my sake, I hope I'm right, obviously. Anything else on 5A?
You know, I'm interested to see what Summit does as they progress without Ty Carter, who had a knee injury in next to the last game of the season against Centennial. He's out for the year. He was probably going to be a Mr. Football candidate, may still be a Mr. Football candidate, but they'll be without him for the duration, and I'm interested to see how they respond to not having their stud.
Okay, let's go to 6A. We're going to pick the pace up here a little bit because I don't want to put you all to sleep. But 6A now, if 5A was wide open, 6A I think is even more wide open. There's so many good teams, so many that are so capable of doing this. Looking at the number 1 seeds: Dobbins, Bennett, Maryville, Oakland, Mount Juliet, Cane Ridge, Ravenwood, Cordova, and Germantown. And just right here in the middle, like the first game, Mount Juliet and Riverdale. Who knows? I mean, that's just boom, right out of the bat. That's a toss-up. But Cane Ridge Centennial, who knows? A toss-up, I think. And then looking kind of ahead up in the top half, it looks like we might see another Oakland-Maryville matchup. It won't be the finals. It'll be the semifinals. And that, just always like instant classic, they say. Ravenwood kind of started off slowly this year, I think, but they finished strong. They won their region, a tough Williamson County region. They came out on top. Honestly, I don't know much about Germantown, but if you're a 6A team and you win that region, you've got to be pretty good.
Absolutely. You know, I'm fascinated by Cane Ridge. You mentioned them. Eddie Woods has done a phenomenal job over there. They went 10-0 during the regular season last year. DJ Thorpe, everything at quarterback. He's over at Western Carolina now. And you thought, okay, they've lost their quarterback. there they go.
They hadn't missed a beat.
They hadn't missed a beat, literally. They have not. And so, congratulations to the Ravens over there, and hopefully they'll take it easy on my Cougars. I'm a Centennial parent, as you know.
Okay.
But that could be an interesting ball game.
Also, we got Brentwood, McGavick, Independence, Smyrna in here. All teams are certainly capable of winning games. I think this is just going to be very, very entertaining. Who knows?
It's different seeing Smyrna go west after seeing them go east for so long.
Right. All right, we're going to move on to the Division II bracket. There's 3 divisions of Division II, 3 classifications of Division II now. This looks like, to me, it's Friendship Christian and everybody else. Maybe Davidson Academy can give them a game. And then we want to throw Nashville Christians in there, too. Nashville Christian would face Friendship Christian in the semifinals, most likely. And what's the kid's name from Nashville Christian? Xavier Myers. Okay. I was at the Nashville Christian Davidson Academy game a couple weeks ago, and it was just back and forth. Davidson Academy's got a running back who's got like 35 touchdowns now, just something crazy. Can't remember his name off the top of my head. I apologize. But that was one of those deals, who gets the ball last sort of deal.
And then the week after that, I think, is the week that Myers went for like 389.
Yeah. So those guys are great. Now, I have not seen Friendship Christian play. They're 10-0, obviously very good. So we'll see how that shakes out. Any more thoughts there?
No, I think you pretty well touched on it.
All right, let's go to Class AA, Division II Class AA. CPA, Notre Dame, and Lausanne are the top seeds in the different regions. Honestly, don't know much about Notre Dame. I've certainly heard of them, but I think this is their first time to do so well, for the first time in a long time. CPA, obviously very well coached, a great team. Lausanne's last year's state champion, I believe. So it looks like it could be Lausanne, CPA. I'm hoping in the finals. Don't want to forget BGA in there though, because they're having a great season.
They are having a great season, and their quarterback Drew Martin's doing a great job down there. Also, they've got a kid, Connor Mitchell, in the defensive secondary, who's playing really well, who's a wrestler as well.
Okay, we like that.
We do.
All right, and finally, Division II AAA. This is Brentwood Academy, NBA Ensworth, Baylor, McCauley, Pope John Paul, Father Ryan, these guys. Brentwood Academy's had another fabulous year. The last I saw, they're number 6 in the country in max preps. I saw them play Ensworth last week. Very good team. But I got to tell you, the Ensworth, the score was big. It wasn't that big of a difference between the talent in the two teams. The game kind of got away from Ensworth. Of course, the rain had a factor in it, I'm sure. But you don't want to be behind in a downpour,
right?
And that changes everything. But if things shake out, Ensworth and NBA would play. Ensworth has to open up this week with Baylor, and I think they're going to take care of Baylor. And then we're going to see another Ensworth NBA matchup, a rematch at NBA, where Ensworth won the first one like 7-6. Hi, fellas. But it all probably going to come down to Brentwood Academy and somebody.
Yeah, and don't sleep on Christian Brothers. Thomas McDaniel, former coach at Oakland, got that thing up and running down there, 10-0.
Okay. Now we're going to move on to the best part of the format. My predictions. What's up? My predictions for next week.
What's going on, man?
My predictions for the playoffs. All right. Last week I was 19-3 overall. What's up now? You all right? Y'all take care of business tomorrow.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. What's up? I was 19-3 last week. It's 231-66 overall, 78%.
Look at you.
Overall. Yeah, but do what I do.
There you go.
All right, real quick predictions, and I'm gonna do my games. I'm gonna throw some to Mo here in a minute. I like BGA over Harding Academy, Brentwood over McGavick, Cane Ridge over Centennial, East Nashville over Cheatham County, Cookville over Rossview, CPA over CAK, Ensworth over Baylor. I like Fairview over Stratford, Page over Gallatin. That one's a little iffy. What did I miss?
FRA over St. George's.
I'm going to take FRA over St. George's. That's a little shaky, but I'm going with FRA over St. George's. Page over Gallatin. Giles County over Sycamore. Blackman over Hendersonville. That's going to be a good game.
It is.
Livingston Academy over Nolensville. Maplewood over Stone Memorial. Marshall County over DeKalb County. Mount Juliet over Riverdale. So we're going to see how that shakes out. Mount Juliet Christian over Jackson Christian. Oakland over Lebanon. I like Pearl Cone over Camden. Pope John Paul over Father Ryan. They played earlier this year. I think Pope John Paul won that game. This game is at Pope John Paul. I'm picking Pope John Paul in the playoff game. Ravenwood over Laverne. Hillsboro over Shelbyville. I'm picking that. White House over Chester County. Trousdale County over Bledsoe County. Some of these are in here just to pad my stats, okay? Watertown over Polk County, Notre Dame over Lipscomb, and Knox Grace over Good Pasture. Now I'm going to throw some to Mo here, and if he's right, they're mine. If he's wrong, they're all his.
I like that. Okay. I like that disclaimer, too.
All right. Columbia Academy versus Hickman County.
I like Columbia Academy in the Battle of the Bulldogs there.
All right. Spring Hill versus Macon County.
Spring Hill comes in at 5-5, Macon County 7-3, but I'm taking the Raiders on the road. Spring Hill.
Okay. Beach versus Columbia tonight. He said it that way.
Now, fortunately, I didn't have to. Nostradamus didn't have to pick that one in Friday's Daily Herald down in Columbia because it's the Thursday night game and it doesn't run till Friday. But it's tough to pick against a 10-0 team playing at home. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers and hope I'm wrong.
Okay, I hope you're wrong as well. But I would like to see Beach and Hillsboro play again. Hillwood versus Summit.
I got to go with Summit in that one.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And Indy versus Smyrna.
I'm taking Smyrna at home. You know, Indy's kind of been up and down all year, but you know, they've got some offensive weapons with the two receivers, TJ Sheffield and Kendrell Scurry. If they can make a couple of connections and make Smyrna uncomfortable, that could be a heck of a ball game, but I'm going with the Bulldogs.
All right. Well, that's it for this week in Nashville sports. My special guest, Mo Patton, Columbia Daily Herald. Thanks so much for being here.
Hey, man, I appreciate
you coming over. Check us out on Twitter, Sports Nashville on Twitter, and get out there and support your local high school teams. Thanks.